for those of you, and there are people in the class who have not gone through the virtual desktop thing before, and if you don't have the little virtual desktop shortcut right there, I'd like everybody in here, because they just built these yesterday, so I'm hoping they all work and they're okay, to click down on the bottom here on your start button. It's way over in the left-hand bottom corner, and choose all programs that you see right there. And Andrew, you can even do this if you want to make sure you can get on it, because that's the stuff that we did, yeah. And what you'll see is a bunch of stuff in here. If you, yours may or may not look exactly like mine, but if you go down toward the bottom, what you should see is VMware right there. All right, if you click on the folder that says VMware, there's your VMware view client right there. So the first thing that you really should do is right mouse click on that, drag it out to your desktop so you've got a shortcut. Otherwise you're going to be doing this all the time, and that's just kind of a waste of your time. If you don't agree with me, you don't have to do it. You can also pin it to your taskbar or to your status bar down at the bottom too if you want. So again, it was just, all we did was we clicked our start button, we chose all programs, we went to VMware, we clicked on it to open up the folder, and we found VMware View Client. Everybody with me so far? All right. So I can even do it from here. If you click right there, now when you click, you should see this, correct? Now, if yours does not say desktops.blackhawk.edu, you may have to type it in. Or you can always check on your, you can click the down arrow and see if it's there. If it's not there, all right, how many people were not there? All right, because if yours doesn't work, it's just sending an email to our administrator and he'll fix it. So you all had that? Good. All right, you heard this before. You probably want to have that checked all the time. And hopefully you know this. You can check that even from home, but it doesn't work from home because you're not physically hooked up here. At least mine didn't work from home, even though it let me check it. All right, it still made me log in the regular way. And I don't know if it does that if you're using your own machine or not, but I would think it might do that too, even if you're using your own machine here. All right, so you probably, when you're here at least, you want it to say desktops.blackhawk.edu, and the biggest mistake people make, there is an S on it. All right, and make sure the thing that says login, if you don't click the one that says login and you click connect, which is what we're doing next, it makes you log in again. And you use the same login and password. This just skips that step. So if you do that and you click connect, that's all you got to do. Now probably with yours, you probably don't see the thing that says external desktops. Am I correct? All right. And I've never used that. So I've never even clicked on it to see what it is. No, I don't know if you're that kind of person. My wife is. If I said this right now, she goes, click on it. She would have to have me click on it because she would wonder what the hell it was doing. But I don't care. So if that's the only one you got, good. You click connect again, and ideally at least, you're in. Now the screen will go black. Don't worry about that. And then eventually it'll go blue. Probably. Either your desktop will come up or it'll go blue, and you'll have to click the cancel button, and then your desktop will be up. All right, so mine came up right away. No, then I went to here where I have to click cancel. All right, now a couple things about this. I know you guys have heard this, but I want to make sure you do this because I've been talking with Terry Prindle, who's our virtual desktop engineer. He's the guy, honest to goodness, that if you see him, I really do want to bring him in here one day, and I don't want to embarrass him, but you should all get up and applaud because he's the guy who set all this stuff up. And again, to my knowledge, we are the only people on this campus that are able to do this. All right? That you can use this virtual desktop from here and from home. I don't know. It's Amanda, right? I don't know if you've got a machine at home, but I can show you how you can download the VM player basically and put it on your machine at home. Okay. This is the one you're using, or you got one? You got your machine. I can show you that by the end of the period today. Okay. All right. But when you're done, please listen to this. You know, if you come up here to the top, you don't see the status bar until you mouse over it. You see that status bar there? All right. What Terry was telling me is this is always the way I've been getting out, and I still do sometimes. Just click that close button. He said that's not the best thing to do. All right, because he said technically that still keeps it running like in the background. All right, and this, if I bring him down here, you can ask him about this. But he said when you're all done, what you really should do is click, what is it? By start, and you should choose over here, and you should choose, I want to make sure I'm telling it to you right. It's been a while since I've done it this way. Hell with it. For now, just do this. All right? Now, also, just so you know, when you bring that up, if you click the minus sign to minimize, you're out of the virtual desktop and you're back at your regular desktop. So what that should do is on the bottom, in your status bar on the bottom, there should be the icon, and you click it again, you go back. Does that make sense? I mean, I know you guys have all done it for a while, but for anybody who's never done it before, does that make sense? There's probably 10 times the software on that virtual desktop than there is on your regular desktop. And now, Andrew, you're ahead of the class because yesterday they couldn't even do it. We tried it with a couple people. They were still building the virtual desktop, so they couldn't even get in. So yeah, so you're already ahead of them. And you know, I had to go through there, and they just built these. And I was saying this yesterday. I don't know if it was to your class or not, but this is all the stuff that's under there. I had to test all this stuff. All right, and I had to test it to where I was okay with it. But there's a lot of stuff on here. I'll take your question in a second. The regular players, you know, the different browsers, your regular accessories. Aptana, you may or may not have heard of that. That's another editor. You can use that to create, I don't know if it's not an editor for Joomla, but you can create HTML with it, CSS with it. You can even use it for PHP. I don't know if you can use it for Java, but it's a stripped down version because it's Aptana Studio and it's the free one. Git is here. If you've ever used Git, all right, and GitHub, I'm not going to go through it right now. We'll talk about it, just not right now, okay? GNU Step, I'm not sure why I had them put that on there, but literally that's the equivalent of a Linux tool or a Starnix tool. All right, so if you go out there, you're going to go right to a command line. In fact, with Git, you're going to go to a command line. There's Chrome. There's the Java stuff. We won't have to worry about that, but you see all the stuff that's on there. He's already updated to Office 2013. There's NetBeans there. So again, if you decide that for the Java or anything else that you don't want to use Eclipse, you want to use NetBeans, go ahead. All right. There's tons of documentation out there. I've used NetBeans in the past, but it's been a while. Now, if you want like a stripped down thing, if you want to see it, there's also, do you have this folder that says software? That's where he loaded everything. I'm telling you this, again, this is not meant to be funny, okay? So what I'm telling you now, it's not a joke. Don't say, I don't want that one. Don't start removing stuff from there. Please don't. Because then he's going to have to rebuild your virtual desktop again. All right? I don't know why they put the stuff out there like they did, but they had 3 different people working on this, and they did. So we're just going to, it's a necessary evil that we're going to have to keep it out there. All right? I wouldn't jack with it. I wouldn't do anything with it. All right, now let's make sure that we can all get into XAMPP, okay? So you probably don't have the XAMPP control panel icon on your system. You probably don't. So again, if we click the Start button down here, we go to All Programs, and we find XAMPP, which is on the very bottom, you should have 2 different things. The Bitnami, don't use that one. Use the XAMPP control panel. Again, right mouse click on it, drag it out to your desktop so you have a shortcut. Everybody cool with that? Again, if you don't want to do that, all right, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Now, Andrew, you're actually ahead of everybody because that's something that the first-year people don't do until the second year or second semester. So you're already ahead of people. All right. So once you've done that and you've got the shortcut to the control panel, double-click on the shortcut, and that brings up XAMPP. What Terry and his group has always done in the past is they've created one virtual desktop for the first-year people and one virtual desktop for the second-year people. For lack of better words, to kind of paraphrase what he said was, screw it, we're just going to create one of them, and don't tell the first-year people about some of the stuff that's out there. So, okay, I have no problem with that. It made his life a lot easier, and it's a lot less administration because there's not 2 different types of virtual desktops that he has to administer. Okay? Everybody here? Anybody who couldn't get there? Yes. Yeah, it's because with Tomcat, when he set it up, I forgot to tell him that all we really needed was Apache and MySQL. All right, so typically when I had done the installs in the past, that's all I added. All right, Tomcat is actually it's a version of Apache that you can use, and it's used a lot. Tomcat is used a lot if you're going to write the equivalent of PHP but in Java, which is JSP, Java Server Pages. You usually use Tomcat and you set up your server that way. So that stuff is set up, but we won't need it. Yeah, did everybody hear that? Yeah, the other thing with this, just so you know, let's say we're all done. So I get out of the virtual desktop right now. If I get out and then I get back on again, this thing is going to be up. This stays up until I quit. So anything that you've got running on the virtual desktop stays running. Browser sessions, your email, anything else. So anything that you keep open on there stays open. So in other words, especially if you're going to be done for the day, you really should shut everything down because you're wasting resources otherwise. All right, IT has been great as far as allowing me to do this stuff, and I hope that it continues. What the school had talked about doing was purchasing some really huge package from a company called Citrix this year, which you may or may not have heard of before. It doesn't matter, but they were going to do this a different way. I don't think it's happened yet. So to my knowledge, even the people in the other IT programs don't have this ability that you have to work with a virtual desktop, etc. And if people are taking classes with me, I set it up. If you're taking a class with me this semester and you're not next semester, Terry always comes back and says, who's not using it anymore? And he cleans up their virtual desktops. He gets rid of them. But the virtual desktop you have out there now should be out there for the entire year. All right? If you ever have a problem with a virtual desktop, the best way to settle it, you can send Terry an email. It's tprindle, Prindle, at blackhawk.edu. But you're actually best off just sending me an email. Because if you send me an email, I can take out an electronic help desk ticket, and I can make sure that when it gets taken out, that a copy of that is sent to Terry. That goes with any problem you have here. Even if for some reason you can't get to your email or whatever, just let me know and I'll let them know right away. They turn stuff around remarkably fast, a lot faster than they have in the past. All right, so is everybody here right now? Yes? All right, to get this to run, we're going to basically need, and now I'm talking about, what I'm talking about in here is to get this to run for Joomla, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make sure that MySQL is started. We can start Apache too. That's fine. Most of the time you will. So you start Apache. Notice when I started it, it turned yellow, and then it turned green. I'm doing the same with MySQL. And now it's green. If you do that, and it turns yellow and it doesn't change, that shouldn't happen. But the first semester we did this, we didn't have a guy like Terry Prindle here. We had some knob like Jeff Scott here who showed it and had everybody do it individually. And for about half the people, it didn't work. All right? And the reason that it didn't work is that by default, XAMPP's a very greedy program, and it tried to grab port 80. And if you had another program running on port 80, it didn't like it. So Jeff was going out and Googling and etc., and we had to go into the PHP ini file, the initialization file, and we had to change the port number for this from port 80 to port 8080, which isn't being used. And then it worked. And I had never understood why port 80, it allowed the overwrite on some machines and it didn't on others. All right, and this got so bad that this was about 4 or 5 years ago, that we had a guy, he was sitting right in the machine that you're at right now. He had to install it 17 times before it worked. He was doing everything right, but it just wouldn't take. But that's why, like I said, in the last few years, IT has said, tell us what you want and where the URLs are, and we'll install all of it for you. That's why this is really nice. All right. So again, this keeps running. So if for some reason, let's just assume for a second, well, I don't need Apache. You can just click stop and it'll turn off. All right. Click it again and it'll start like you'd guess. All right. 2 more things on this. If you decide, again, this is something more for you next semester, that you want to go in and you want to run MySQL, but you want to run it from the command line, you just click shell right here. Brings it up, and it's just MySQL SQL -u root. Boom, I'm in. All right. If I want to get out from there, I just exit. You don't exit. You exit. And you're out. And I have to exit again because that got me out of my SQL and that got me out of here. So if you want to do that, you all know, or hopefully you all know and remember, if I'm in MySQL and I click admin right now, that brings me into PHP MyAdmin. Just coming back to you, does everybody remember this? Again, not everybody was in that class, but the people who were in the 147 class last semester, this is how we went through things. So the reason I'm telling you this is it's up to you. You can go and create databases either from the command line like I showed you, which is a little more work, or you can do it from PHP MyAdmin. Either way will work. All right? Before we do that, I'm going to jump back and I want to go over what's in this article. All right? I'm going to go over the whole thing. If it would help, if you say, don't leave it up there, Jeff, print us off, I'll print off 10 hard copies right now. I don't care. Nobody has ever said to me, Jeff, you're printing out way too much stuff, and you don't have a frigging clue as to what I print out in here. I come in here a lot on Saturdays and print out whole ebooks. I don't ask. I just do it. If somebody's going to get peeved at me, they're going to tell me. But it's all stuff I use in the classroom. All right. So all the stuff that's in here, like I showed you before. I've gone through and I've looked at this J3N. That's Joomla 3 and 10 easy steps. That's 88 pages. Now, I like to think I'm smart enough and then I print out everything double-sided. And you really should be doing that too. But if you decide you don't want to do that, it's your money you're using. The Joomla 3 newbie guide, that was 65 pages. So I came in here once on a Saturday and just printed them both out. All right. I tried doing it on Saturdays because you're not here then. And I'm not, if you want to print, I'm not taking up time from you. The only bad thing is if one of you leave a job in there, they haven't given me admin permissions, so I can't use the printer. But I don't know that until I get in here. I can't check that from home or anything else. So, all right, so if we look at that Word document, I want to go through all of it. Again, the reason I just showed you those two things is if you look at the very bottom of this document, it says you can get more details on how to do this by Joomla 3.0 Made Easy. And I don't know if that's one of the ones I showed you or not, but that's where this is from. I went online and just Google is your friend, as Mike always says, and I went online and looked, I typed in running Joomla under XAMPP. And I looked at 3 or 4 articles, and this was the easiest to read that I found. Feel free to look at them yourself, and if you like an article better, let me know, and I'll go back and look at that. All right. So they explain what Joomla is. No biggie. That's fine. Installing Joomla 3.0 on your host. It says first, let's install XAMPP. Guess what? We could skip all that. But if you decide that you want to work on this on your own home machine and you don't want to use the virtual desktop, this is what you can do. All right. So, but I'm going to skip that because we already have it set up. All right. There's the interface, etc. All right. So now they're saying that we can go into PHP MyAdmin. Okay. Now I will tell you, right now we're going to create a database in PHP MyAdmin. All we're going to do is create the database. Whatever you call that database, it should be something like, I'm going to call mine Joomla 33 because it's Joomla 3.3. I don't want to put a period in there. I just don't want to confuse myself for the system. But you should call it either Joomla or Joomla 3 or something like that. Does that make sense? I mean, you can call it Ralph. The system doesn't care. But you should call it that's fairly indicative of what you're going to be doing here. So as it says, create a database in PHP MyAdmin. So we've all done that. We've gotten into PHP MyAdmin. All right. And it says click database in the toolbar. So again, if you go back, I've got to jump back into here, click databases. All right. And when you click that, there should be a thing here that says database name. Jeff found out when he came in here before that they've done some changes on here, and all the stuff I've done, I'm doing it all with you because everything I've done, they've removed. All right. So unless I did save it, which I may have done, to that external hard drive that I bought, I'm at the same place you're at. All right. So it asks for a name in here again. I'm just going to call mine Joomla 33. No spaces, no anything. Now, if you look up here, if you remember this from before, I'm about to click Create. Hopefully you'll agree there's no Joomla 33 in here. But as soon as I click Create, now there is. All All right, so we've gone through the first step. Everybody cool with that? Anybody have any problems with that? Again, if you missed that from before, where we were back in here, you go under MySQL, you click Admin. And if you click Admin, that's going to bring you up into PHP My Admin. That should. Problems? And then under PHP My Admin, you click the tab at the top that says Databases. If you click the tab at the top that says Databases, all right, you go into here where it says Create Database and type in something like Joomla 33 and then click Create. That's it. Then you should see Joomla 33 over here on your databases. All right. Jump back then. So we did this. They tell you to click database. They tell you to call it. That was Joomla 30. I don't really, it's not that important one way or the other. So the good news is when you look, where are we? We're on page 7 of 8 already of this article. All right, so we've done most of the work as far as getting ready. Now what we have to do, as it says, is now as it says, you're ready to install Joomla. And I want to mention this to you. It may not sound very big, but I want to show you something quick. Because there's actually articles out on the web about this. Technically, the name of Joomla is Joomla with an exclamation point. And if you notice the book, Joomla exclamation point 3, there are a lot of people who have, there are articles out there. It's time to drop the exclamation point. It's just frigging Joomla. And they don't care anymore. But that's how people who do this for a living, that's how animated they get about this stuff. All right, I once went to a C conference and that was out in Kansas City, and I listened to two people argue because they wanted to change a keyword. They wanted to drop a keyword and then add another one. And I'm not making this up. Two guys got into a fist fight who were on the stage, who were people who were involved, because one of them said, this is a stupid, actually said, this is an asinine keyword, and we should have dropped it a long time ago. And the guy said, take it back, and he said, no. And the guy got up and punched him. That's how much this stuff means to people. The only reason I'm telling you that is you're going to see a lot of stuff out there with just Joomla and a lot of other stuff out there with Joomla with the exclamation point. It doesn't matter, it's the same thing. All right? Oh yeah, but you also, when you go out to Stack Overflow, which is a great site if you've never seen it before, all right, sometime open up a browser window. It's one word, stackoverflow.com. You can go out there, you can post stuff, but watch it, because if you're a newbie and you post stuff, people will tell you you're an idiot. They'll write out, only idiots shouldn't be on this. This is only for people who have a clue. And when they say that, they'll use F-bombs and whatever. They're not supposed to, but you'll find that stuff out there. And we all know what that is, right? Read the flippin' manual, which is the flippin'. Right. But the other thing is, if you are going to post stuff out there, make sure you post it and you put code out there. Because I've seen people post stuff on Stack Overflow. I got my first assignment in a Java class. Can somebody help me? That's not what it's for. It's actually a site for professional developers. All right. And then you will see stuff like that. All right, so notice what it says. So we can go out to here, and I'll just put this up here so you can see it. So you should... Over here, I'm just going to open up another thing in my browser. There it is, but I'll make it bigger so you can all see it from where you're sitting. Give me a second. Usually have these formatted, etc., but I don't right now. Should be about right. Yeah. Everybody read that okay? So open up a new browser window. Type in that place. http://www.joomla.org/download.html. I'm going to leave that up there for a couple minutes. Again, if we just get through chapter, this is the crux of the material in chapter 2. All right? But in chapter 2, they assume, just so you hear this, in chapter 2 of this book, they assume that you're putting Joomla on a regular server. Did you hear that? So a lot of the instructions that are in here, are different. Then when they get done, or it's either right before they do it or right after they get done, they go, if you don't want to do that, you can also put it on a product like XAMPP. So that's what we're doing. So what I'm telling you is we're essentially going through the majority of the material in Chapter 2 right here. All right? It's explained all the stuff that you're going to see, and I'll come right back to this, but all the stuff that you're going to see in just a minute, this stuff, main configuration, database configuration, etc., all that stuff is all explained in Chapter 2. All right? Some of you, I know, some of you get off on reading that kind of stuff, and that's cool. Other people could care less. They just want the thing installed, and they could care less what anything means. And some people are in the middle where they go, well, what do I have to know? And technically, nothing. None of this stuff. You have to set it up once, and it's Microsoft used to call their stuff plug and play. Remember that? Then after a while, considering it was Microsoft, it became plug and pray. All right? But in here, it's the set it and forget it mentality. So you should be able to set this stuff up. The only thing I will tell you, I'm going to take your question, but the only thing I will tell you is, as I mentioned, if you're going to use a different login and or password when we get up to setting the administrator stuff, write it down. I guarantee you, you'll forget it. And when I say write it down, don't write it down and like tape it to the keyboard of the machine you're using. Please don't do that. Write it down and put it in your wallet or something like that. All right. Question. We're gonna go there in just a second. I'm not there. I'm gonna get there in just a second. So if I don't answer your question, ask it again. All right. Okay. So everybody there? You put that in. All right. So I've got it. I just didn't hit enter yet. Okay. Now notice what it says. I think this is your question. Download 3.3 or upgrade packages. What they're saying, the difference between these is, if you already have Joomla 3.0 installed on the system and you click upgrade packages, it'll go through and only give you the stuff that you need that's changed between 3 and 3.3. So it's a mid-grade, it's an upgrade. Literally, that's what it is. I mean, kind of look at it this way. All right, you're on an airplane and you're in business class or you're in coach, whatever, the cheapest. Somebody comes up to you for whatever reason and says, "Hey, Mark, would you like to be upgraded to first class?" And he's like, "Okay, that's a kind of a dumb question." And he's already up sitting there, right? But the point is, typically, they don't come up to him and say, "Here's a first class ticket." If he's got a ticket, he can upgrade. It's the same kind of an idea. What we want to choose is this. Download Joomla 3.3, English 3.3, full package, etc. Right there. So we're going to click that. Okay? Now, hopefully you know this. I'm using Firefox, so if you're using IE or you're using Chrome, it's going to be a little bit different. It's fine. All right? But since I'm using Firefox, when I click, I want to click Save File. All right? So either way, I know that I think it's Chrome will ask you down here, do you want to save it or open it? You want to save it. All right? IE, since it's a Microsoft product, it's already figured it all out for you. It's already installed it, and it's already run and opened it, and it's already created your first website for you. It sucks, but it already did all that for you. All right, so I'm using Firefox, so I'm clicking Save File and OK. Notice it's over here. So that's got my downloads. Now, before I go back to that, which I'm going to do in a second, I want to get out of here and go back to the document. So it says, download the folder, the Joomla folder, okay? But I really should have had you do step 2 first. I forgot about that. So let's do that first before we even go and look at the file. What that means is I want you to double-click on computer, double-click on the C drive, double-click on XAMPP. Everybody with me so far? And double-click on htdocs. Now, if I went too fast for you, sorry, but if I did go too fast for you, what I said was, go there. Go to the C drive, XAMPP, htdocs. Again, Joomla is a PHP product, or it runs under a PHP engine. With PHP, everything you end up saving in PHP gets saved into the C drive on these machines, XAMPP, htdocs. So all that makes sense? I mean, again, it's just one of those necessary evils that we need to worry about. All right, so you've done that, I take it. Then it says on here, again, I want to go back to this document because we really, as I mentioned, we should have done step 2 first. in htdocs, create a new thing. Call that the same thing you called your database. So if you called your database Joomla 33, call the folder Joomla 33. If you called it just Joomla, call it Joomla. It doesn't matter. All right, I called mine Joomla 33, so that's where I'm going to put it, okay? If you call it something else, again, it's not going to hurt it at all. It's just going to make it easier for you to figure out where stuff is. All right, so here's computer, C:\xamp, htdocs. So I'm coming in here. Notice I don't have a Joomla folder, so I'm going to right mouse click, choose new folder, and since I called my database Joomla 33, I'm calling my folder. In fact, it doesn't even matter. I can make a lowercase j because that's what I called it. All right? Everybody cool with that? You've done something similar on yours. Am I correct? Anybody who hasn't had any kind of problem? All right. So we've done that. Now I'm jumping back into where I just downloaded this. There it is. All right. So if I clicked on that thing that looks like this, if I click on it, it shows me my downloads. Right mouse click and choose Open Containing Folder. And that's going to push me off to wherever it's downloaded this. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to click on that so I can activate it. Now I'll just click on it over here. And I'm going to do a Control X because I want to cut that and I want to paste that into the Joomla folder that I just created. Again, am I going too fast? Did I lose anybody there? Did you download it? All right. Are you using Firefox? All right. Then in Firefox, you should have these buttons up here. If you click the one with the down arrow, yours might look like something else. It really isn't going to matter. But if you click on that, that shows you the downloaded one right there. If you right mouse click on it, come on, right mouse click on it and choose, I already moved it, so it's not going to allow me to, but yours should say Open Containing Folder. So if you open that, that'll open up the folder, the download folder that it automatically saves stuff in. Then highlight it. If it's not highlighted already, do a Control X, which means you're going to cut it. Go over to your Joomla 30 or 33 or whatever your folder is under htdocs that you just created. Open that folder up and paste that in there. Okay? Yeah. And then paste it in. So I've already done that. Again, I'm jumping back to the old document here. And it says unpack it or unzip it, whatever. All right. So I'm going to go over here. So right where I just was, it's open here someplace. Right there. Right mouse click on it and choose Extract All. All right. The name that it has is fine as far as I'm concerned. I don't really care. So I'm going to extract. Again, that may take a second or two. It says here it's 24.8 meg. And with all of us doing it at a time, you may or may not believe this or know this, but they actually have upgraded like the Wi-Fi here during the summer. They're doing what they can to make it better. The problem is everybody and their uncle, as the saying goes, I see them here and they're on their phones and they're on everything else. No matter how powerful they make it, it's never going to be powerful enough. Plus, I don't know if this has any effect on it at all, but when you look at this room, this is one of the most ergonomically incorrect rooms to be teaching what we're teaching in here. Seriously. The walls are bad, the floor is concrete, etc. It is. But that's because when all this was created, that was before this program came to be. And most of the school is like this. All right. So hopefully yours is in the same situation that mine's in right now. Maybe yours is even done already. Has anybody had any problems to this point? So in just a minute when it gets done, notice, look here, it says go to URL, http:/localhost. That's not the URL you put in. You put in whatever you called that folder. See what I'm saying? So if you called your folder Joomla 33, make sure you put 33 in there. All right? Then we're going to just follow the steps as they're shown on here. All right? So let me jump back. I'll grab that because, again, I have no problem copying that. you notice there's a lot of stuff in here. This is what's in there. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know what 99% of it is. And again, I don't care right now. I'm more of the mindset, I want us to get this installed, up and running, and see if it works type of idea. We can worry about the other stuff later. So again, I'm about to try to run this. Mine was 33. Oops. So what I'm putting in here, what I'm putting in right now is this. Yeah, it really and truly isn't, it won't matter. But you're right. At least for consistency's sake, it'd probably be a good idea. Let's make it 20. So if you put in something that looks like that, again, that should be whatever you call this. And again, ideally you call the database and the folder the same thing. Okay? So if we do that, we're still in the installation process. I want people to understand that. Don't think, oh, a site's going to come up now. No, we're still in the process of doing the initial or the installation. So I'm going to put that in, open up another one here, and put that in here. Hit enter. Do you see that? All right. What's that? Well, it brought a regular web page up. Did it look like that? Okay, it's because yours, for some reason, it overrode it and it already opened the folder and it went right and found index.php. Is that where you are? Okay, that's good. See, you're such an advanced class, you're ahead of the instructor. All right? All right. Now, what I'm going to do, all right, if I can get everybody's attention for a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this stuff, and I'm going to leave this up here. It's more important to me that the 10 or so of you in here get this installed than it is that I get it installed right now. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just going to walk you through this. And look, there's technically not all that much. We're going to go through step 1, step 2, and step 3. It's the rest of this page. Then it comes back and it says, you now have a Joomla site, etc. The point is, if you go ahead of me, and you decide when you come to certain options, if you don't choose the ones that I choose, when you bring it up, yours isn't going to look anything like mine. So that's not a big thing. The big thing is you're going to have to uninstall it and reinstall it all over again. Because when you choose the sample data and the stuff you want, Joomla even says, well, if you chose the wrong one, you're kind of hosed. You're going to have to do it again. They don't have a nice tool that'll clean it out for you. All right? So you just told me that all of you are right here. Am I correct? All right, good. So notice what it says here. There's 3 steps. 1 was configuration, 2 is database, 3 is overview. All right, so again, we're going back and we're right here. All right, so when we come up in here, the first thing it tells you to do, and again, a lot of the stuff that's in here where you're going to go like, duh, that's fine. All right, so the first thing they tell you to do is select a language. As you'd probably guess, the language that you select will be English, and that's the default. All right, except for Travis, who's shaking his head no. So he's going to install Polish, and that's fine. He can do that, as long as he knows Polish. But you notice there's quite a few in here, including Polski. All right. Actually, my wife, I always say that I always use Polish because she's 100% Polish. All right, but look at the rest of the stuff that's in here before we start filling it in. The language is filled in for you. The site name is really important because when you get into Joomla, that's always the name you're going to use. And no, that shouldn't be Joomla 30 or Joomla 33. The author says you should probably just call it Corba because that's what we're using. Now remember, you're going to have a second site, but just calling it Corba is fine. All right, so I'm going to jump back, but I just want to show you, you're going through the configuration stuff. All right, and a lot of the stuff that's in here will make sense to you. It really and truly will. The one thing I want to mention to you is if you look down here, it says site offline, yes or no. You can always come back and change that later. If you say yes, it literally immediately makes the site available. That's not really important because we're running it under XAMPP. But if you were creating your own site for somebody and you had your own domain name, you'd probably want to leave that set to no until the thing was actually up and ready to run. Does that make sense? All right, because otherwise it's open to the public. Now, when you get in here, you're the administrator. All right, so once we put in the name, we'll put in a simple little description, but that email, I would suggest, all right, for instance, Teresa would say tderoni@students.blackhawk.edu. I suggest you use your regular Blackhawk email. Does that make sense? If Mark says, well, I got a Gmail account and I want to use that one, you can. What the admin email is, you'll probably very rarely, if ever, use it. But if there's updates or things that Joomla itself deems that you should know, it'll email you at that address. Does that make sense? Since you're running it from Blackhawk technically anyway, I suggest you use your Blackhawk one. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Your username, feel free to use your regular username and your regular password. If you don't want to use those, all right, you know, if John doesn't like Jwanda, just wants it to be John, it's okay. All right, but as far as Joomla is concerned, this is possibly the most important part because what you're doing is you're giving it all of that information. So here it explains. Select the language, English. Site name, it says enter the name of your site. If you don't want Corba, fine. But I suggest you just put Corba. Collectors of Really Bad Art. C-O-R-B-A. Don't put spaces in it. Don't even use underscores. Just put, you know, for the site name, I would just put Corba. And for the description, feel free to put in something like Collectors of Really Bad Art. All right, something like that. The site offline, I already mentioned it to you. I just say, you might as well just click it to yes right now. All right. The admin email, again, just your regular email here. Your username, I would use your regular username. Notice it says if you want, you can use admin. You can do that too. If you wanted to just say admin, that's fine. It really and truly doesn't matter. So the username, a lot of people will tell you, should be admin. The problem is, going back to the question Kelly asked before, all right, if people are going to go and try to break into the site, what are they going to want to go in as? Admin? And a lot of people don't change that. So please, if you're going to do that, don't make your site name admin and your password admin. Because there's a word for that, which is just stupid. And then confirm it and then click next. So I guess I can keep up with you. So if you look here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally just come in here, English, Corba, I'll put it in lowercase, Corba, enter the site description, collectors of really, well, since it's all capitalized, of really bad art. I can't spell one word correctly. All right. It says generally a maximum of 20 words is optimal. That's not even 20. That's about a quarter of that. I'll just make it, you know, site offline. I'll tell you what it says. It can be set to online later. All right. So set the front end offline when instruction is completed. It's not completed, but I'll just set it now. It's fine. All right. The admin email, I'm going to put in mine. All right. The username, I can put in J. Scott. I'll tell you what. I'll just keep it at admin. That's fine. And I'll put in a little better password than that. And put it in again. All right. And when you come there, when you get to that point, you click the button up here that says next. If you made a mistake, if you forgot to fill out something or whatever, it probably will keep you on that page and it'll try to highlight it and tell you where. All right. I took it that you all got that well enough that I didn't have to purposely make a mistake to tell you that. So notice we're in step 2 of 3. All right. All right. So when we come here, I'm going to go back to the other one because I'm just trying to be consistent with what they showed there. So we've done all this. So we're in step 2 of 3. All right. The suggestion is you keep the default, which is MySQLi. I don't know if we've talked about MySQLi. We will this afternoon in the PHP class. Back when PHP was earlier, an earlier version, all the stuff that PHP did with MySQL, it was all MySQL underscore. All right, but there were a lot of security holes in it, so they improved it. When they improved it, they changed it to MySQL-I, which technically stands for improved. All right, so we're going to just keep that. All right, we're actually going to look what they have here. We're going to have localhost for the host name. We're going to keep root for the username, and we're going to keep the password blank, because that's how we get into MySQL, and that's the way we've always done it. All right, I'd suggest that you do that. The database name is the one that you created before. The table prefix, it'll automatically create something there for you, so just keep that. It says the old database process, click backup. That's only relevant if we weren't doing this for the first time, and then we can click next. If I went too fast, I'm going to go right back to it, and let's look. So we keep this. We keep this. We put root here. We keep this blank. For here, we use whatever name we used for our database before. Mine was Joomla 33. Notice it's going to put that prefix on. All of our prefixes will probably be different. It says it's randomly generated. One of the reasons I believe they do that is it's another security measure. Since they're putting those prefixes on there, if somebody does get in, if they can't get to your prefix, but they see your table name, I think that if it's going to give you error messages, I think typically it gives you the table name but not the prefix. So if somebody wanted to get into your stuff, they'd have to be able to get to your prefix. And they won't be able to. All right. So again, MySQL-I, localhost, root, blank, and then whatever name you used when you created the database. Not the folder if you used a different name, but the database. Everybody understand that? All right. And the good news is we only have to do this once. Okay, and we click next. Now, I've had no mistakes. Notice now I'm on step 2 of 3. Or I'm sorry, now we're on step 3 of 3. We've done the first 2 steps. I believe that you can go back to here and go back and change it, so if you wanted to change something. I'm not going to do that because I'm happy with what we've got so far. All right, this is the most important part right here. I know we're running right at the end, against the end of the class, but let's just finish this. That's it. All right, it says finalization. You choose the sample data or not, etc., etc. All right. Now, what we want to do here, and I got to go back to the book. I want to make sure I'm giving it to you the way that the book did it. Because all of the screenshots they'll use at the beginning of this book are based on what you choose here. So if you choose something else, your screenshots won't look like theirs. Unless you really like to uninstall and reinstall software, then you can do that. All right. So in chapter 2, what they talk about first is if you need your own host, this is how you get it. This is what FTP is. I'm not going to go through any of that stuff. Installing Joomla in steps. So we've done this, we've done this, we've done this. We've done that. Creating a database, we did that. We've done all this. Again, I'm just paging through chapter 2. We've done that. All right. Now, this is what they say. This is, like I said, I wanted to double check and make sure. Okay, so what we want to choose here, and if you do want to see it in your book, just so you know, it's on page 33. It's step 8 at the top of the page. We want Learn Joomla English GB Sample Data. It's the 4th button that's down there. When I first did it, I chose blog because I hadn't read the book. I was just doing it on my own. And what's that? You're right. 5th button down. Thank you. 2nd from the bottom, 5th down. You're right. It says under email configuration, just set it to yes, which means, notice that should have your address in there. So that means, again, you can get email updates type of thing. Include passwords in email. That's up to you. But the good news is, if you choose yes, it should send you an email and it'll have your password, your login and password in it. So if by chance you do forget it, if you save that email someplace, you can go back to it that way. As long as you don't share your passwords, etc., with other people, it's not that big a thing one way or the other. All right? But if you decide you don't want the email and you click no, you don't even see the other one. So it's up to you. Everybody understand that? All right? Now click install. Again, sorry, it's taken a couple minutes longer than I thought. I'd rather go through it slowly once. Hopefully you only have to do this once. And I believe this is everybody. I don't think Laura is in this class. There is a person who's taking this class. I've got a guy who's been taking classes with me for 5 years. He takes virtually everything online because he's already a full-time web developer. But he could probably teach this class. So, hey, congratulations. Oh, thank you. I'm happy as hell. All right. Now, at the end of the chapter, they tell you all the real cool little stuff that you can do. And I want to make sure I'm telling this to you right, so we're going to try something here. I'm going to try http://localhost/Joomla33. No. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You actually should remove this installation folder. You should click that button. And what that does is it not only frees up some information, but there is stuff that's held in there. And if somebody ever gets a hold of the install folder, they might be able to get, crack some of your information. So yes, thank you. So boom. Successfully removed. That's good. Site is down. That's not a good sign, but let's try it anyway. Okay, you know what? We'll pick it up here. Yeah, whatever. We'll pick it up there next time. All right. But is there anybody who went through this and your steps didn't work? Anybody? Yeah, well, that's the system. Okay. Let's see. You did. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm putting the right password in. Ah, that's true. There it is. That's what you should get. Thank you. I got to write down in the grade book. Travis, gold star for today. All right. This is a full-fledged Joomla website. All right. And if you say, just so you know, not only is it a full-fledged Joomla website, there's a bunch of websites in here. Notice if I go to sample sites, all right, I can go in here and you just see what the site looks like if I go and change to Fruit Encyclopedia. Now I'm at a totally different looking site, right? This is all part of the same website. So this is where we're going to be building things. What you'll notice over time is you can take stuff that's in here and you can either remove it or you can hide it. So you can leave all the stuff that's in here, but eventually we'll remove it or hide it. All right. Did everybody get to the point where you were here? Did everybody except the gold star recipient get to that point? All right. Now, just so you know too, when you log in like this and you do your http://localhost, Joomla, notice how I can change this. If at the end I put in admin, okay? Oh yeah, fine, forget it. We'll pick it up there next time. Hey, considering some of the installs we've done, I thought this went pretty smooth. Must be the influence, the calming influence of the lab assistants. I think that's what it is. So thank you, lab assistants, for your calming influence.